Okay, thank you, everybody. You can take a seat, please. Great. So, good afternoon. My name is Stuart Cochran. I am Chief Technology Officer of a company called Huddle. And I have one slide on Huddle, but that's a bit later on in this presentation, if that's okay. So, I think I wanted to start with a statement that I hope everybody in the room probably believes in, which is that enterprises need and want better collaboration. Now, we're at an event that's talking a lot about collaboration and communication, and collaboration means many different things to different people. So I thought I'd spend just a moment talking about what my focus of this talk is going to be in terms of collaboration. And we're really talking about collaboration in terms of allowing teams within agencies and enterprises and companies and businesses to share and work on documents together. So we're not talking about video or voice collaboration. Plenty of other companies are doing that today and tomorrow. So hopefully this statement is something that people look at and go, yeah, of course we want better collaboration. We want our teams to be more productive. We want our business processes to be more efficient. We want to be able to extend our business more easily to our external suppliers, partners, customers, regulators, government. But the sort of focus of my talk, I guess, is why is it so hard to achieve good collaboration today? And what are some opportunities that I think that exist when we look at how to improve collaboration going forward? So this picture tries to sum up collaboration today in many, many organizations. It's just too difficult to do. And why is that? What are the things that we can do to improve the situation? Today, it's too difficult to do in many cases because people don't have the right tools to enable them to collaborate effectively with their external and internal teams. People still use email. We still send emails to each other. We still attach documents to those emails. We still lose track of which version of the document we should be looking at. We still give people this huge challenge of sending out an email with a document attached to it, asking for comments or feedback or review or approval. And then somebody somewhere has to look at all the replies, all those emails that come back, and work out what does it mean? What is the status of this document? Now, if you try and think about that problem, and then think about, well, I need to do that across boundaries between different organizations, different countries, different offices even, it just gets harder and harder to do. So I think everybody wants better collaboration. Everybody knows it's something that's important. But everybody recognizes this picture, hopefully, is something that resonates. People know it's too difficult to do, and we still use old tools that don't allow us to work better with our teams, no matter where they are. So I'm going to take a bit of a step back now, though, because I do want to talk about three things. What's the opportunity for better collaboration? Why is it important? I want to talk about some of the things that we can use that will help us collaborate. And I'm going to spend most of the time talking about the challenges. How do we overcome the challenges in terms of introducing better collaboration within our company? And I wanted to kind of use this slide and the next one because I've had the privilege of hearing this person and the next person talk in just the last few weeks. So this gentleman is Sir Ken Robinson. If you're familiar with TED Talks, those online videos of really fascinating and interesting talks, this gentleman has the most watched TED Talk ever. More than 30 million views of a talk that he gave in 2006. And the title of that talk was How Schools Are Damaging Creativity. So Ken Robinson is an academic. He focuses on creativity, innovation, and education, both in business and in school. And it's a hugely important and very, very funny TED Talk. So I recommend, if you haven't seen it already, you go and look at it. But I saw him talk a few weeks ago in London, and he made this statement about we need a new level of creativity and innovation within enterprise, within government as well, in order to face some of the challenges that the world is looking at in the future years. So I think collaboration is not just something about cost saving and productivity and efficiency and working better together. It is a bit more fundamental than that. It really is about how enterprise and industry is going to be able to solve some of these problems that we all know exist. So the second person I saw just last week talk is a legend in Silicon Valley. This person is Andy Bechtolsheim. He was the founder, one of the founders of Sun Microsystems. He also wrote the very first check to Google. Before Google was even incorporated as a business, he wrote them a $100,000 check. Now, by the way, that'd be worth about $2 billion. And he gave a talk last week that I saw, and he made a point about something we all kind of take for granted. This is Moore's law. This is the law that Gordon Moore came out with in 1965 that says, on average, every 18 to 24 months, the power of processors, the silicon chips in our devices and equipment will double. So the silicon density, the number of transistors on those chips will double roughly every 1.5 to 2 years. And that prediction that Gordon Moore made in 1965 has been one of the most accurate and also the most remarkable changes, advances in technology that I think we've ever seen. So if you think about the processors of 1971, they had roughly 2,000 transistors. If you look forward to about 2030, the improvement will be something like 100 million times more transistors on a little piece of silicon, about the same size and the same cost as the ones way back in 1971. Now, what does that mean, and why am I mentioning it when we're talking about collaboration? It means we all walk around with supercomputers in our pocket with our phone. We'll soon be walking around with supercomputers on our wrist. We all can take advantage of broadband networks, whether at home or at work. We all can walk around London and get 4G, very fast mobile data because of the advancement in computer chips. So there's a huge problem we have to solve. There's a huge opportunity because the technology available to us is getting so much more powerful and cheaper. But yet, why is collaboration still so difficult? So my sort of final slide in terms of taking a step back is this one. I went to see one of our customers a few weeks ago. They are a large industrial company here in the UK. And they said something very interesting. They said, we have two kinds of users. We have the slightly older user, people like me, who, when something breaks on their computer, on their desktop, they just phone up IT and they say, it's broken, I can't work, come and fix it. That's all they do. They have a younger kind of employee user, maybe Generation Y, somebody born in the sort of early 80s to the 2000s, who actually has a very different set of needs and expectations. And they will actually look at some of these enterprise tools that are given to employees and will say, I'm not even going to use that. It's not a question of me saying, you know, I'll use it because you told me, and if it breaks, I want you to fix it. They're actually saying, I won't even try and use that. And we hear that time and time again, that people in enterprises and government agencies look at the existing tools for collaboration and say, I'm not using that. I come from a world, as you can see from the photo, where they're permanently looking at their phone or their tablet. They expect to be connected. They expect applications and systems to be easy to use. They want to stay connected to their friends and colleagues and employees. They don't want to use traditional enterprise applications. So what does this mean? What does it lead to? And I think it leads to this problem. This was a survey that we did back in a couple of years ago. And we asked Ipsos Mori to survey enterprise knowledge workers here in the UK and also in the US. I don't think it's any surprise that people are using consumer cloud services or other systems because the ones they're given by the enterprise just don't work well enough. Now, what is the problem with that? The problem is about data. Somebody said interesting a few weeks ago I was listening to, they said, we're all about bring your own device, the massive trend because of these supercomputers we carry in our pockets with our iPhones and other phones. We're all bringing those devices to work. We want to work with those things. They're far better than the big clunky laptop that I get given when I join a company. But it's not just bring your own device, it's bring your own app, bring your own network. I'm paying actually for my mobile phone service. My company doesn't pay me for that. But it's not my data, it's the company's data. So the problem with shadow IT, as it's sometimes called, the problem with people using these consumer tools or personal storage devices is it's your data, it's your company's data that is on those services, on those devices. Another customer of ours I spoke to, who's a CIO of a large television firm here in the UK, and he said, I know I have thousands of my employees using consumer file sharing services. I know they're putting into those consumer file sharing services content which is proprietary and confidential. I have no access to that. I can't audit it. I can't look at it for compliance and risk management reasons. I can't look at it for data protection reasons. He knows it's happening, and yet he also said, I can't turn off access to those services. There will be a revolt in my employees. They all expect to have access to those services. It makes their lives easier. That's a very interesting problem that we have to overcome if we're going to improve collaboration in enterprises. So what are some of the things we need to do? We need to, obviously, to have better tools and better solutions. But the second part of my talk, we'll talk about some of the things we have to do as well. It's not just about technology. But if you look at the technology we need, then it's quite interesting, I think, that these are the things that we've identified are really, really important. And it starts with ease of use. We absolutely have to deliver easier to use, simpler to use systems for knowledge workers, information workers, employees in any kind of company or government agency. Those systems have to work on mobile devices, clearly, because people are bringing those things to work and expect to use them. And also, they need to be social. We need to be able to leverage the fact that I want to share some things with my team, with my colleagues, with my suppliers and partners and customers. So that's all looking at it really from the end user's point of view. Make it easy, make it simple, make it available on the devices that I use. But the other side of the coin is, what about the company? What does the enterprise need? Well, they need to know things are securely stored. They need to know where they are. They need to know who has access to them. They need to know that they can audit it for data protection or compliance or risk management reasons. They also need to have it integrated. There's absolutely no point from an enterprise point of view in having a great collaboration tool that doesn't integrate to all the other tools you have. So we see this a lot because we see a lot of enterprises looking to transition from an on-premise solution to the cloud or to SaaS solutions. And of course, what that means is not only great opportunity and some really fantastic new services, but also fragmentation. It was very easy 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I had Exchange, I had Outlook, I had Office, I had an Access database. If you look to the future, I have a cloud service, some 5 or 6 different providers. I need to find a way to integrate them all together. So integrated is really super important, not just to cloud services, but also to the existing enterprise applications that already are in place. And finally, of course, it has to be trusted. I have to trust not just the cloud service provider. Is that service going to be secure? Is it going to be available, reliable? Is it going to perform well wherever my users are? But also, I need to trust how easily can I get my content into that service, and also, can I get it back out? One of the things we see CIOs and CTOs very worried about is lock-in. They don't want to go from a world of feeling they're locked into a stack of enterprise applications into another world where they're locked into a whole series of cloud service providers. So there's all sorts of elements around trust that I think are really, really important. So we have a set of requirements. We have a set of things that technology needs to deliver. But as I said already, it's not just about the technology, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. One thing we're seeing, and it really kind of plays to the themes of this event of the today and tomorrow, is it's about creating not just a new system, a new tool, a new piece of technology, but a whole new digital workplace for employees. And that's important, as I've said, because of the changing expectations of employees, but also because of the opportunities that come from new devices, new networks, and new applications. And certainly this sort of digital workplace is something that more and more commentators are starting to pick up on. So Gartner, for example, are running a whole series of events this year talking for the first time really about the digital workplace, how to create the next generation of tools and collaboration solutions for enterprise workers. As you can see, they're making projections about how much they'll be used. Our view is that's probably lowballing the forecast. We actually see much more rapid adoption of some of these new services and technologies within certainly our customers. And it's interesting, I will talk about Huddle very quickly. You know, we have 2 parts to our business effectively, government and enterprises. That's a quite a wide range. And actually we see some government agencies much more aggressive about the adoption of new technology than even some of the commercial or private sector organizations. So one slide on Huddle. I said I'd just mention it partway through this talk. So Huddle is a cloud service. We make available this solution for document collaboration, enterprise content collaboration, as you can see, on laptops and desktops, on mobile devices, and integrated to your applications, whether they're cloud applications or traditional on-premise applications. So one thing I think is important, and it goes back to that list of requirements we showed, is you have to marry together security, the needs of the enterprise, with adoption or the needs of the end user. Now, just to say a little bit more about that, because we think it is so important. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he was talking about the challenge they have to establish a sort of common blueprint for collaboration systems across their organization. They've just acquired another business. That means they've doubled the number of employees. They've doubled in size almost overnight. So you can imagine they have a huge real estate of different enterprise applications they need to find a way to bring together. And one of the things he said was, there's many vested interests. There's a lot of sunk cost, a lot of teams and people that sort of have a job because they're there to look after existing enterprise applications. And that's a huge sort of barrier to overcome. Lots of inertia to making any sort of change in an enterprise because of that. And he said the thing that he uses most of all to try and compare the old world of some of these traditional enterprise systems with the sort of new world is not really about features and security and performance and availability, not really all those features, but to look at things like adoption. And he said, he goes and talks to some people that use technologies like this and says, how long will it take you to create a new project, a new place for a team of people to come together and work? And often the answer is that could take, let me think about it, could take two or 3 months. And this gentleman I was talking to, he says what he does when they're answering their question, he will go and he uses Huddle, but it could be another cloud service. He goes and uses that cloud service. He sets up that project whilst the person is answering him. And then as they're finishing their answer, he'll say, check your inbox. You'll see you've got an invitation to a workspace I've just created. And that sounds like a little bit of a glib kind of trick to play on somebody. But it's really important because it's about saying we can't wait anymore the 2 or 3 or 4 months it takes to build these solutions using traditional tools. We have to have solutions that are much faster. Now, consumer tools offer that ease of use as well. It's very easy to go into something like Dropbox and share a link to a document. The problem is about security, as I mentioned earlier. Who has access to that? Who can audit it? Who can control who has the ability to see that file? So we have to find a way to marry the two things together. The ease of use that those consumer tools provide with the security features that you need to control your data in your enterprise or in your agency. So that's the only thing I want to say about technology. I really feel that sometimes technology is overstated in terms of what it can deliver. Whilst technology is super important, we all understand that actually to do any successful transformation of the way people work, we have to do effective change management. We have to find a way to encourage people that are used to using email, that are used to using those traditional systems, to change the way they work. Even though that may be for the better, any change is difficult for people to go through. So I wanted to share just a few more slides and then we'll finish about what we've seen from a Huddle point of view in terms of how to enable that change. And it really starts with, I think, people. Again, we talk about technology a lot, but change starts with people. We have to identify within an organization who are the people that are going to evangelize for change and drive the company forward, who are the people that don't want to move at that pace. We have, at Huddle, we have a kind of proprietary methodology for this, but I want to share the kind of bones of it with you today, because I think it is something that you could apply to your business. And it's really this kind of methodology for enabling business transformation within our customers. And it starts with a kickoff. That sounds very simple, but it's important to start with the end goal in mind. Too often, technology projects start with the need to deploy the system. That's only a means to the end. The end has to be, what business outcome do I expect to see? So it's really important to get that agreed at the beginning. It's really important to plot the journey to that. what are we going to do between now and then to achieve that outcome? And one of the things that we see, too often transformation programs start with a very big end goal and try and solve every problem on the way. And that's a mistake in our opinion. It's better to start with something small and solve that quickly, because then you start to build some momentum within the organization. So the blueprint is the next stage of saying we have a journey, let's take the very first step on that journey and build a blueprint for what that should look like. And that again is about people as much as it's about technology. So it will talk about who's going to be the champion for this. Who in the company or the agency or department is going to be the one person that sort of puts their hand in the air, their neck on the line, and actually says, I want to make sure this works, this is successful. Launch is important. Of course, you have to sort of launch it to the organization. One of the things that we actually look for, I'll talk about this in a second, is you want to make sure that you don't have to do huge amounts of training. One of the things that I love to hear from our customers is they say, the thing we like best is we don't have to train the end users to use your solution. That talks to the ease of use that is so important. And then finally, it's about nurturing, making sure we actually do measure and can look back at the benefits. Did we actually deliver what we said we were going to do? And it is a cycle. You have to do that many, many times to actually achieve the transformation that is aimed for. So that methodology is proprietary, but we share it here in terms of its high-level steps, because I think it's something that can be applied. There's also lots of best practice behind that in terms of what you actually do at each of these stages. And also it's important to have something which is customized to your business. Every business is different. Every set of people is different. You need to find a way to customize these plans to your precise situation. So 3 final slides, 3 case studies, and I'll just pick on a couple of things that I think are important as we go through these. So we do work with Department for Work and Pensions here in the UK. One of the things I think is important here, again, is about ease of use. It's really, really important to pick a solution that you can actually look at and your end users can look at and say, okay, I can see how this will make my life easier, because if you don't offer that, even if the benefits are out there, if you don't offer that ease of use, they will revert back to using the tools which they're already familiar with. We were talking to a financial services company where you'd think that they could really control the systems that their employees are using because of so much focus on compliance and risk. And actually, we were in a meeting, we had the CIO on one side, we had a head of a business on the other side, and the CIO was saying, well, we need to review the solution and look at compliance and security and audit. And the person on the other side of the table said, I can't wait for you to do that. I'm just going to email the document to my client. That is essentially forbidden within that organization, but it happens because they don't really have an alternative. They can't wait. So it is really important to find the ease of use to overcome that natural inclination just to use the simplest possible way to get something done. Another sort of learning point for us, I think, this is from work we've done with NHS in London, is you need senior buy-in. So when we are launching in that methodology I showed, when we're sort of doing that launch phase, often we'll start with the board of directors. We'll actually say, why don't we use a collaboration system for your board pack, your board paper? Now, why is that important? It's not because the board is huge. We're clearly not delivering, economic benefits to a large number of people. What we are doing is getting high-level buy-in. And I'm sure you can understand the difference it makes when you're in a company, your CEO or management team turn up to a meeting with their iPads or Surface Pros, whatever they use, and say, I've started using this system. It's really cool. It's really great. That drives change throughout an organization. Very, very important. And then thirdly and finally, I just wanted to mention another company we're working with, Centrica, again here in the UK. And this talks to the fact that it's important to start somewhere small. So in this customer, we've actually built, as you can read, it's gone from working with them in terms of HR onboarding, working in project management, all sorts of different use cases. But it's important to say we started with just one use case, one department, one team. We made them successful. And I think that pattern, that model is something that should be used for the rollout of any technology, whether it's collaboration or anything else. So thank you very much. We've gone a little sort of whistle-stop tour through our view on collaboration, very different maybe to some of the other kinds of collaboration that have been spoken about at the event. But we think document-centric collaboration is really important because it all goes back to controlling your data, your document, your content. So if you want to learn more, you can obviously look at huddle.com. You can follow Huddle on Twitter. You can email me personally. We're based here in London, and we'd be delighted to answer any questions. Thank you very much.